Do 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 do. Is this thing on? Can you hear me? We're live. Pay for play, week 2, baby. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank y'all for watching and blowing up the last episode. If y'all missed last episode, obviously we want you to go back and watch it on our Twitter. You can find us on YouTube. The link is in the tweet right here. Um, a great week one last week. We had 4 full days of college football. We had a long weekend. We were feeling good. We could have did better with the picks, but that's why we're here again this week. All right. We back at it. We back to bounce back. And yeah, it's a lot of good matchups today. So I want to introduce my boy Sam again, my wonderful co-host Sam. How you doing, my brother?
A little battered and bruised still from last week. It wasn't the opener we wanted, but it was fun. Full week of football. We're back in the full swing of things. We got red zone tomorrow. Check out Sunday morning quarterbacks as well.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have that for you tomorrow. But yeah, it's back. It's here. We love it. It's the start of a new week. I'm done betting with my heart. I would have been 500 if I didn't bet with my heart. So. Um, I got the double dose of like losing all my money and just getting my heart ripped out last week. So we're gonna take a week off from that.
Yeah. Do you want to have a therapy session right now? Since it's the beginning of the show before we get into it, or it's in the past?
I'll keep it short, just because it
Mhm,
is in the past.
mhm,
I think I do think it was closer than like people thought. Like it was tied in the fourth quarter. Like the game just got away from you. It was a little out of characteristic because this team all last year never quit, never stopped fighting, and
mhm.
always looked better in the second half. And then it was the complete opposite last week.
Yeah.
Secondary is a problem, but those like Keon Coleman is the best receiver you're probably going to face all year.
Mhm.
Um, he was just the best player on the field. You couldn't stop it. It's fine. So I put it behind me. It's not the end of the world. Everything you had, all the goals you had going into the season are still right in front of you. So
Yeah.
onward and upward. Hopefully that was the worst performance you get all year.
Yeah, exactly. And look, I understand that it was worse than it was last year. We fully understand that. But same thing happened last year, and you winded up in the SEC championship. You beat us. You're in the playoff. Like so, I really do think there is an opportunity for LSU to get back in this. They do have a lot of huge games in front of them, and that's the beauty of college football. You can rely on some of these other teams, especially in the SEC West, with the strength that they have to beat other teams, beat other good teams, and then now when you play them, you have the opportunity to beat them and then boost your resume a little bit. So I think everything, like you said, is still in front of you. I would hope that running the ball, I mean, we were talking about it before we went live, man. Like that was the one thing last year that really, really got in the way of the success that you guys could have had. But I mean, it seems like it's still an issue, which I hope it gets solved. I mean, what do you think? It's a line thing? Do you think it's more of the backs or play calling? What do you think it is?
I can't tell if it's the line. I mean, because you didn't really try anything different.
Hmm.
So what were my biggest like I guess grief with the entire offensive situation was you come out and you try these two different kind of creative play calls where you get Aaron Anderson going in motion, you get the whole defense going to the right side, then you wheel the back out to the left and he's wide
Hmm.
open for a 55-yarder on the opening play. Then you hit Mason Taylor. Like your scheme was great those first two plays, and then it
Yeah.
was like let's just go back to what we did last year, and didn't
Yeah.
try anything really new the rest of the time. Like receivers have to catch the ball. Obviously, I'd like to see John Emery and Logan Diggs. Those are probably your two most talented backs that you
Mhm.
have, and neither of them played. Like John Emery was held out, and apparently, John or Brian Kelly said all offseason he was going to do like the NFL style where he updates you daily on injury reports, and then Logan Diggs just has a surprise hamstring injury, and no one knows about it, and he's unavailable for the game. So I want to
Yeah.
see those guys get some touches, see if they can help. At least provide a spark. I mean, Josh Williams is really good. Noah Cain's a talented running back. They just it's not the backs that you're used to at LSU, and I think John Emery and Logan Diggs are a little bit more have a little bit more home run ability, can make some guys miss, and aren't just going to be like the guys that get you 3 yards and then go down.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. And we'll see. We'll see. I mean, like I said, a lot in front of you, a lot of opportunity, but there's a lot of things to clean up. And sometimes teams need this wake up call. Like sometimes teams need to get their ass beat and just say, okay, we got our ass beat, but we still have a lot of the key components that we had last year,
If
which
your only
was
loss is to an eventual like undefeated / one loss ACC championship Florida State team, then that's not going to hurt you at all. So
yeah, exactly,
wake
exactly.
up,
You could
play like the team that I know you are, or that we all know you are capable of being. It might end up being us. Like if Jaden Daniels,
mhm,
I don't think the loss is all was on Jaden Daniels. I want to make that very clear.
yeah,
But at the end of the day, I do think we both think Nuss is the best arm talent on the team.
yeah,
And if you don't get those plays down the field, you're going to need them at some point. And
yeah.
so
Especially when you're coming from behind. So we'll see what happens. We obviously know that they have Grambling this week. I'm so mad I'm not in Baton Rouge. When I tell you, Sam, that is food wise, like Grambling and LSU getting together, like you will get diabetes at that tailgate. So
worth it.
yeah, totally worth it. The food is amazing. Now speaking of a surprise, okay, we were a little cautious last week with this guy. Okay. He's only been showing us that, he knows what the hell he's talking about. He's one of the best to ever do it for like what, 30 years now?
Mm-hmm.
And my shock really was they just kept responding, which usually a team that is, I guess, with a lot of transfers, like shifting, as we talked about Alabama, which we'll talk about them obviously later. I was really shocked to see like the unity, like the belief, like in like, okay, TCU just came down there and scored. Offense, let's go. Like, let's do it. So obviously Dion and them are back at home for Nebraska. Now, Nebraska probably put up one of the most pitiful performances I've ever seen from a Nebraska team. I mean, look, it's not been very bright over there. Okay, it's not. But I just thought they had the opportunity to beat Minnesota and they didn't. Granted, Minnesota's defense is pretty good, but they didn't show me a lot offensively either. So
No.
they're going into Colorado. This might be, I mean, we're not, Colorado's been around before us, way before us, but is this not the biggest game in Colorado football history? Like, I pretty much think it is. Like the first home game with a coach that can lead you to the promised land, quote unquote. I think it's huge. So how are you feeling about this matchup? Colorado coming home after that big win.
Yeah, I think they're going to have their like head right. I don't think they're like hungover after a big win to open the season or anything. I do think last week was kind of like a perfect storm. I think we talked about it a lot. TCU did not, they just didn't return any of the production from that championship runner-up team. Um, and Colorado had a lot more talent than the Colorado that we've known for our entire life. I think it is the biggest game of like this millennium at
Mm-hmm.
Colorado today. I think those games are just going to keep getting bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but at the end of the day, like Nebraska's defense looked good last week, but I mean Minnesota also lost their their quarterback from a year ago. They lost their school's leading rusher in like the
Yeah.
history of the school,
Mm-hmm.
and they still found a way to lose the game. Like Nebraska, I don't know what it is. Like it's just they keep finding ways to lose one score or one possession games, and at the end of the day, it's just like it's kind of like a losing culture is kind of evolving at Nebraska, and it's been kind of entrenched over the last few years. And maybe Matt Rule gets a chance to fix that down the road, but I don't know if it's going to happen. Like I saw the speech Dion gave on that they put out on Twitter, and I immediately bet Colorado. They're not getting their ass whipped at the crib, that's for sure. I believe him when he says that. Um, and Shadur is a good quarterback. Like
Cool.
this offense is going to be humming. I think it's got a lot more skill than what Nebraska saw last week. So I'm not quite on like the Colorado's a contender on that train yet, but I am on the Dion page or the Dion train, and I want him out of the SEC for as long as possible because like
Mhm.
he gets in the SEC, it's over.
Yeah,
He's gonna have all the talent that he wants, and it's gonna be a
it's gonna
scary
be ugly.
sight. So I I'm praying to God Florida like keeps Napier around and doesn't just. If I was Florida, I would give that man a blank check and just say, "Come run this." And
Do it. Yeah. And that's what I originally thought that, and I got some pushback from some of the homies that I was talking to it about. I personally thought that he should have waited for Texas. And I mean, obviously, Sark is kind of in a put up or shut up year. Going into the SEC, they're going to want to have their best foot forward. So if Sark doesn't at least show that he can compete on the level of these SEC teams, and I think he's not going to be there next year. So I thought that's what Dion should have waited for. But I do know over there at Texas, they don't want the coach to control the program. They want to control the program. That being the AD, the boosters, the front office, for lack of a better term. So I agree.
which is
Like if
dumb.
yeah, it's stupid because he will bring you back. He is
Yeah.
from Dallas. He has the roots. Like everything is there for him. So I don't get it, but whatever. So yeah, if Florida wants to, what I'm saying, lose out this year and be like, Dion, come do it. You know what I'm saying? You can bring Shador too. You can bring Travis too. Like, cool. I would do it. But we'll see what happens. But Shador, in terms of that, obviously we're a gambling show. They have him to throw an interception at -160, which, if we're judging off of the performance last week, I think that's a little harsh, to be honest with you. The under is +120, which I would be taking a look at just because his control of the offense looks so good.
Hmm.
His ball placement on some of these deep balls, like the decision making to know when to throw the deep ball, also was amazing. So I don't really know what Vegas is seeing when they're thinking he's going to throw an interception. Yes, he's maybe playing a higher level and a more traditional defense. The 3-3-5 is a little bit awkward, but I that would be something I would take a stab on, a little sprinkle. I mean, I know it's not huge plus odds, but Shador really impressed me, man. A lot of people thought that he was just an FCS quarterback, and you saw in the
He was
interview that he
surgical.
did. Yeah, I mean, he was literally like he had been there running the offense with everybody, and of course, they brought a whole bunch of transfers, so he kind of did, have that camaraderie already. But
Hmm.
I mean, to do it on a higher level, man, like you saw the interview he had this week, like he was basically saying, "Look, I mean, it's a little faster the game, but I'm capable. I'm confident." And you expect nothing less from a Deion Sanders kid. I mean, like you know he's gonna have the confidence in himself. It's about going out there and performing on the field. And we have to give Shiloh some love too. He led the team in tackles last week. So
Hmm.
for all the shit that's been talked about this football team and this coach, I think that they're in prime position to win this football game. And I think 3 is a little generous too. I know you said you got, oh, well, now it's down to 2.5 again. It just changed a minute ago. So I might make it official, lock it in. Colorado -2.5. Yeah, the defense might be better about Nebraska, but this team's humming, man. This seems
Yeah.
like a team of destiny. So
I'd kind of lean with you on the under too, just because of the stupid
mhm.
fucking Big 12 noon kickoff. I hate that. Why would they do that at a school in the Mountain Time Zone? Like, why are we getting a 10 a.m. local kickoff? I
Yeah.
hate the Big 12 noon kickoff. I hate Fox. Like this stupid rule that they do. Like if you're gonna do it in the Big 10, where
Yeah.
kids are up. Like don't make a 10 a.m. local kickoff. It ruins the. I'm sure it'll still be rocking in Colorado, but
Hmm.
like give the fans time to drink and get rowdy. Come on, man. Like that's the
Oh.
reason like all these SEC schools won night games. So they have time to drink and get ready and get amped up. So
Hmm.
I'm sure it's the biggest ticket in Colorado this millennium, but
Oh
still
yeah.
I don't like the 10 a.m. local kickoff. That's stupid.
Mhm.
So I'd lean with you on the under there, but I'm definitely locking in Colorado -2.5.
I mean, look, y'all remember when I went to Baton Rouge for LSU Tennessee last year? I was up taking shots at 7:30 a.m. So, yeah, and my cousin was like, "Yeah, bro, you got to wake up at 7:30 because they're gonna be out there." I'm like, "Nah, bro, they're not gonna be that deep. Like, come on." We walk up there at 8:15. sea of what are those things, like those little mobile homes, or like those buses or like tour
RVs.
bus kind of thing, RVs. Yes,
Yeah.
those full right in front of the stadium, right in front. So yeah, they're serious about their football. I'm excited for Colorado. But we'll go ahead and move on to our next game. That is the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame versus the NC State. I forgot what the fuck their
Wolfpack.
mascot's name is. Wolfpack. There we go. What is a Wolfpack? Anyway, um, Sam Hartman has been very impressive, bro. I'm not gonna lie. He got that dog in him. I saw on that touchdown. I don't know which touchdown it was, but
He's as
he
old as
dove
Joe
in the end
Burrow.
zone. Yeah, I see a little bit of that in him. I
Well,
do.
he's as old as Joe Burrow. Like he's a year younger than Joe Burrow, and he's still playing college football. Like I'm not gonna hate on the dude for taking advantage of the NCAA rules, because apparently the NCAA only likes to pick and choose whenever they want to enforce their rules. We'll stay out of the Quez Walker
Yeah, I
situation,
was about to
but
say North
that's
Carolina. Yeah.
um. But yeah, I mean he's old and he's experienced, and like Notre Dame's finally got a quarterback in this like last decade. Like I know they had
Yeah.
Ian Book for a long time, but this is by far the most talent they've had at quarterback.
Yeah, and Ian Book, that name scars me since I'm a Saints fan. Whew, yeah, I'm shivering. Um, I I look at this game and I say, okay, this is, look, they were in Dublin, so I guess that's an away game, maybe. I don't know. Like they had time to prepare, they had time to adjust. So, but this is their first true road test in the ACC. NC State, I mean, even though I didn't have high expectations for them at all this year, they didn't really impress me last week at all. And I think just the way that Notre Dame's offense is humming, I think that they'll be able to win this game and maybe not cover. I don't know, but I think they'll be able to win this game. But the Notre Dame defense is what I'm looking at this week, and I'm trying to see, can they continue to get a high level of pass rush? Because if they can sack the quarterback, if they can get pressures, I think their backing is going to hold up. And I think it's going to be, I mean, it's going to carry over into the season. So
Mm-hmm.
hopefully we can do that. But I mean, I don't know. How are you feeling about this matchup?
Um, this is like the start of an analogy that I've been thinking about the entire day. Is like whenever I was looking at the board this morning, it was I felt like one of those. It was one of the old Jackass skits where the guy has to like crawl through an entire floor of just rat
Like
traps.
tasers or yeah.
Yeah, just like an entire floor of rat traps, just dodging them, and it just eventually they just all start going off. And this
Hmm.
is the first line where I feel like it makes no sense. 97% of bets are in on Notre Dame -7, and the line's only gone down from -7.5 to -7. So I don't know what
Hmm.
Vegas knows. I'm 100% biting the cheese here, and it's all because of Sam Hartman.
Hmm.
He's played in these kind of environments before. It's not like you have to worry about a new quarterback working in his first true road test, because he's played in this stadium before several times. Like he's been a starter for 3 years, 4 years in Wake's system, and now they're going back to a familiar place for him. I mean, I know it's not like it's at Wake or something, but
Yeah.
still, I feel very comfortable with Sam Hartman, and this Notre Dame offense has looked really good thus far. I don't think they've played really anyone talented. I don't believe in Navy, so it'll be interesting to see kind of how their defense goes.
Hmm.
But I think there's no reason to not believe in Notre Dame being able to push this outside of a one possession game.
Yeah, I agree. And I
There's no look
mean,
ahead spot. No, not like there's nothing
yeah.
that like gives me any inclination to believe that Notre Dame's not gonna keep push this outside of one possession. Personally,
Yeah, I totally agree. I feel like, again, they have the talent. There's a lot of talent on that squad, and you have a good quarterback, probably the best quarterback you've had in probably like 3 or 4 seasons. So we'll see what happens with that one. Now that's one of the ones I'm a little bit more scared to touch, just because it's a true road game. Not super familiar with NC State, so I'm gonna kind of hold off on that one a little bit. But yeah, we'll see how it goes for them. But I want to keep it moving to a much more interesting matchup. Much more interesting matchup. Old Mississippi, they're going to New Orleans to face the Green Wave. Green Wave obviously had a big into their season last year, beating USC. Didn't look the strongest last week. Had a couple tough spots. They had a couple of blunders, mistakes, but I think them being able to grind out that win was important. But Ole Miss scored 7 touchdowns or 10, excuse me, 10 touchdowns last week and a field goal. And yes, it's Mercer, but it's a Lane Kiffin offense. Like I was saying last week, that's one of the main reasons why they were one of my bets last week. When you have Judkins, a great running game. Again, I'm not like a Jackson Dart like super fan, but I think he's dynamic enough to make some trouble for Tulane. I think this 7.5 might be a little low. And I don't want to ride Mississippi too much, but I really like what they can do. And I really think that they're going to be hell for, unfortunately, y'all. I think they're going to be hell for Alabama, and I think they're going to be hell for A&M too. So when you're looking at this matchup, what are you liking?
Well, initially I really liked. I just it hasn't been an instant, or I can't trust Ole Miss's defense until I believe it. Like that's what it comes down to for me. I don't love that Michael Pratt is now a game time decision. He's been limited in practice all week, but I think if he's able to go, I believe that this is a back and forth game, just as most Ole Miss games are. Until I see that defense perform and able to stop somebody for them to pull away, I'm not going to go off a game against Mercer to believe that. So I'm going plus 7.5 Tulane. I think this is probably the biggest home game in Tulane's history, or not history, but certainly in the last 2 decades. So yeah, give me the roll wave. We're gonna roll with Tulane here. Just it's strictly off. I'm not trusting a Lane Kiffin defense until I see it.
Yeah, and I don't think I trust their defense. I think I trust their offense to outscore them. I think, I think this is one of those games where you get 3-4 stops, you might pull away and cover that number, but it is going to be up to the defense. And that's really it. Like that's all in Lane's coaching career. That has been the one question, no matter where he's been. You're going to score points, but who are you going to stop? And, he likes his guys, he likes his defensive coordinators. I get it, but it's, yeah, I don't know. But I truly think though that,
is their
Judkins
defensive
too much.
Who's the dude from Alabama? Is that their defensive coordinator now?
Pete Golding? Yes,
yeah.
it is. Yeah. Pete, Saban kicked him to the curb after that arrest.
Say less. I don't trust this defense at all.
Yeah, no. That's what I'm saying. I didn't even want to say his name because I was gonna be like, Sam's gonna laugh at me. But I look, I think learning from the master, you can maybe have a little bit of it rub off on you. I'm not gonna say he's gonna be Kirby. Like, I would never say that. But I think he has.
So I didn't see anything. I didn't see like him learning at all.
Yeah.
At Alabama. So.
Yeah. And look, I'm trying to shoot him bail. Maybe the old man was being overbearing. He can be a little bit, overbearing. So maybe the old man is, maybe the old man is on his case. I don't know. But we'll see what happens. I definitely, like I said, I might have to go to Ole Miss. Oh, and Chuck, our friend Chuck, who will be on the show. Okay, we got to get some Mizzou love in here. We got to get some SEC West love in here. He said,
"All right, RIP to the dynasty."
Oh my goodness, bruh. Moving on to the next game. Chuck, I'm sorry. I didn't tell him to do that. Okay, I didn't tell him to do that.
You
All
hate to
right,
see it. You hate to see it.
Kadarius, catch like this, brother, like this, like this. Anyway, um, Texas A&M, Miami, Florida. I think this is the hypocrite part of the show for me, at least. I don't know, Sam. You might stay in your hate, and I'm not blaming you if you do. Um, but I'll say this. I said this in our preview, which you can catch on my YouTube at the Players Ball One right here. This Texas A&M team had way too much talent last year to be as bad as they were. I believe their quarterback is a bozo. I don't think he's good. Okay. Let me just state that. And I still don't think he's good, even based off of the performance last week that he had. That was pretty good. But I think the difference maker is going to be that motorcycle riding, neck brace wearing, Falcons quitting on coach Bobby Petrino. Okay. And while you can say everything you want to about his off the field antics and all the rest of that, the man know how to coach offense, okay? There's this guy named Lamar Jackson that he made
Oh,
look like
stop it.
a freaking I'm just saying he made him look like a superhero at a school like Louisville. So
Stop it.
I,
Don't
just
don't give Bobby Petrino credit for Lamar Jackson.
I I'm just saying I'm not saying that Lamar
Okay.
didn't have the majority to do with it, all right? But I do think Bobby put him in an offense where he can show Lamar can pass the ball too. And that was important. I think you can maybe elevate. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I think their quarterback is a bozo, but maybe you can elevate him with a really good offense. So we'll see what happens. But in this game, Miami, I mean, they lost at the crib to Middle Tennessee State last year, and they got smoked by Middle Tennessee State last year. So I'm not inclined to believe that they're, I mean, much improved. TVD is like the most disappointing player ever, in my opinion. Like he's very disappointing, in my opinion. And going to Miami, I don't think that this is a tough environment. I just really don't. You hear everybody talking shit about Miami, how they never fill that stadium up. And it's a big ass stadium. I'm not gonna lie, it's a huge stadium, but you just you always hear how the home field advantage isn't really there. So I'm gonna wash my mouth out with soap after I say this, but I'm taking A&M on the spread. Sam, just talk. Just talk.
See, I could say the same thing about A&M, like they lost to Appalachian State at home last year. I know it's not the same level as Middle Tennessee State, but I'm full on hate betting here. I'm going Miami +3. I don't believe in A&M's offense quite yet. Prove it
Mhm.
to me. If I have to be wrong today, I will be. Um, but at the end of the day, I think Miami's got the more experienced quarterback. He didn't play well last year. We'll hope that the new offensive coordinator hire is one that will help out this Miami team going forward. And I I'm not a I guess I'm not a doubter in Cristobal. I think he needs some time. Like,
Mhm.
obviously, he wasn't set up with the best situation, but they still didn't look great last year. So there's been a lot of hype this offseason. The recruiting classes are starting to get better, but still, I think it's kind of a mid off right now. Like, it's both these teams are like whoever loses this is gonna like, especially if it's A&M, like
Mhm.
that noise is gonna start getting really loud.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I mean, I know it's not the biggest home field advantage, but it is one of Wegman's true first true road tests.
Yeah.
Um, and it may not be the worst environment for him to go play in, but at the end of the day, I think it's still a young quarterback with one of his first experiences on the road against a team that has talent. So
Mhm.
um, I don't believe in the offense quite yet. Bobby Petrino is going to have to show it to me. It's against someone outside of New Mexico
Yeah.
that they played last week at home. So yeah, I'll take Miami +3.
Okay. All right. Look, like I said, Stick to your guns, man. If there's hate in your heart, you ain't gonna get no hate from me. Okay, and we'll talk about this the heavyweight, the main event matchup that we have tonight. But yeah, I just I don't know. Like Jimbo, Jimbo is overrated in my opinion, but just I feel so similarly to the Arkansas game last year, where all of y'all were shocked that I picked A&M in that game, but there's just a couple of games that Jimbo just is gonna win, man. He's just gonna win. Like I think this is one of them. So give me A&M -3. We'll move it out west, and our good friend Bo Nix is going to Lubbock. Everybody's favorite part of Texas, obviously. Um, I think they looked good last week. I think Bo, what this is year 5 for him too, no? Like or 4 or something like.
5. He's started all 5 years too.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, you basically have a damn near like NFL junior quarterback or maybe an NFL third stringer, coming out there against Texas Tech, who was a little bit lackluster last week. So I wouldn't take the 6 because although I just made a fun of Lubbock, it is a good environment, the total opposite of what Miami has. But I do count on Oregon to win. I am looking at their team total right now. I'll let you talk while I go find that. But what are you feeling about this matchup?
Tyler Shoe revenge game.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
I think it was a really bad spot for them last week. They had to
Hmm.
sit through a rain delay for a few hours or weather
Hmm.
delay for a few hours, waiting for that game to kick off up in Wyoming. And if I'm not mistaken, like Wyoming was one of the most like top 5 in returning production. So it was a really
Hmm.
good team. I mean, it may not be like the best team that they'll play all year, but it was still a very veteran team and a team on the road. Whenever you have this look ahead spot to a game like Oregon, um, and the line makes absolutely no sense. It's the same thing like the Oregon or the Notre Dame game we talked about a little earlier. Most of the money's going to Oregon, and this spread has only gone down. So
Hmm.
opposite of the Notre Dame game. I'm going to take the home team here, and I'm going to ride the Texas Tech +6. I think it'll be back and forth. I hope it will. I mean, I'm wanting it to be back and forth game, kind of shootout type feels, and I, Lubbock is a tough place to play at night on the road.
Hmm.
And Oregon's first true road test on the year. Uh, Give me Texas Tech +6.
Okay, I feel that. I feel that. And the team total for Oregon is at 38.5, which is a little high for me. But the total is at 69. Nice. So I don't know, man. Like, this is one of those ones I'm kind of scared of because sometimes back and forth games are fun. Like, but back and forth games are not fun when you're betting the spread. And
In a one
you
possession
know,
game.
yeah, it's not fun at all. You would rather have a total. So if I was advising anybody to bet this, I would sway towards a total and I would sway towards a team total either way. So we'll see what happens. But I think we've wasted enough time with these other matchups. And we want to introduce a new segment on this show. It's called Talk It Out. I know a lot of you watching who are gamblers have a lot of games, not only just in college football, but in sports in general, that you don't really know what's going to happen. You could see one thing, you could see it happening either way. You could see home team winning, you see the away team winning. So, me and Sam are going to, in front of you guys, talk out what the hell we feel about this game. Okay. Because obviously we have deep hatred in our hearts for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Okay, we both do. We have, I don't know if we have deep hatred for Texas. I just think we think like they're like the kid who matured in like high school and like peaked too early, like, and then now they're living their life, trying to say, oh well, we're the shit. Say we got this big ass nice stadium, we got these tech companies coming in, we got these boosters, blah blah blah. But we see the product on the field, which last week against Rice and JT fucking Daniels was pitiful against them. So I'll start with my opening argument. Do the Alabama Crimson Tide have a running back at quarterback? Yes, they do. Okay. All right. I'm just gonna say it. They do. All right. I don't believe in Jalen to do anything but throw to open receivers against these FCS schools. However, Texas's defense, barring just three, how many interceptions did JT throw last week? 3 or 2? Like just awful interceptions. I think that he is going to be in a position to, if he doesn't turn the ball over, he can affect the game highly with his legs. So, right when on Saturday, I was looking way too far ahead to this matchup, and I said, I think Alabama might beat their ass. Okay. But then I calmed down. I said, okay, well, Texas was resilient. They came back, whatever. Um, but Quinn not hitting the deep ball is tough, man. Like he hit it all game last year, which I don't know
Mhm.
if the shoulder, injury last year may have gone into that. I don't know what's up with him, but I I find it hard to believe that they're gonna beat this football team if they can't hit the deep ball and if they can't get big plays. And I think Alabama at home is gonna get big plays. So I think 7 is a lot of points. Um, I might go
It was
with our
seven and
with
a
our
half this morning whenever I saw it.
yeah, which is it's a lot for me personally, but we might go with what's been written in stone, Bama first half, which is I think it's 4.5, maybe 4 now. Um, that would be my most confident play, but I want to see how you're feeling in your opening statement first before I make a decision.
I just keep going back to what we talked about all off season, man. Like
Mm-hmm.
it makes absolutely no sense. Like this line stinks to high heaven. At no like on paper, Texas is probably a better football team.
Yeah.
Like they return more. Like they have a more proven quarterback who looked really good in this game last year. I will agree with you that the missed over like the overthrows and the on the deep balls and like the misses there last week really scared me. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, I look ahead spot last week clearly.
Yeah.
They've known that this Alabama game is coming,
Yeah.
and they should have won last year. Absolutely should have won last year outside of some Bryce Young magic. And I it makes no sense. It drives me insane that
I
this
know,
line is this
man.
high, man. Like
I
it
know,
makes no sense. They have a running back and quarterback. They have no proven running back in the backfield. They have no proven wide receivers, no proven tight end. They've lost both coordinators. Like it they lost their generational pass rusher. The secondary's fine, but they lost both safeties. Lost both middle linebackers in a Nick Saban defense. Like it makes
man.
no sense to me. That's why we have to talk it out because it's like a full hate bet that I have, like Texas plus 7.5. Because
Mm-hmm.
I can't talk like this all off season and then come into the first test of Jalen Milroe's career. And like I think it's gonna have to go back and forth if Texas wants to win this game. And I think they can do it. Like they have AD Mitchell, they have Xavier Worthy. Like those are two of the best receivers that Alabama's gonna face all year. And Quinn's got to step up. If Quinn doesn't step up in this game and show something, like it, what are we doing? Like,
Yeah.
how can you tout him as like this top level NFL quarterback whenever he's if he looks like he did last year in this game? I think Texas wins, and
Mm-hmm.
I think the noise is going to start getting really loud for them.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I also think, we're talking about the things that, Alabama lost. I think you got a guy in Bijan Robinson, man. He's supposed to be offensive rookie of the year. He's betting favorites to be offensive rookie of the year in the NFL. So I think that's a big hit because I think Bijan last year took a lot of the pressure off of Quinn. So when he did have the deep ball available, he could hit it. Like it wasn't like he was trying to look for it, go for it every game. It's like, all right, you don't have to look for the deep ball, but when they double Bijan or they focus most of their attention on Bijan, the deep ball is there. So I think that helped a lot last year. But again, man, like if they can't get big plays, bro, I really find it difficult for how they're gonna win. And Rice gave it to him, and I'm not a big believer as I was in the Alabama defense. But 15 is he coming, boss? He's on the way. Dallas Turner is a really good football player. I think he's going to
But
be a
I
top
trust
15 pick.
Texas offensive line
Okay,
to
fair.
where you don't have Will Anderson and Dallas
Yeah,
Turner
you
on
don't
both
got to deal with
sides.
both again. Yeah,
You
that
just
is
got to
true.
deal with
Mhm.
one.
Yeah,
And they negated a lot of Will Anderson last year. I don't think Will Anderson had his best game. He had a lot of personal fouls in that last game too.
yeah.
Um, I want to see if Alabama's disciplined. They haven't been in big games over the last few years. It's been really surprising in a Nick Saban team for them to just like lead the SEC in penalties. And
Yeah.
like I think last week, like we started the show talking about LSU Florida State. I think that some of those penalties early, I mean, some of them were ticky tack, but most of them were absolutely calls that you make, and I think that gave Florida State a little bit of an edge. But
Hmm.
the last few years, whenever we've seen Alabama have penalties like that, it's been stupid, and they've been ones that have really hurt them.
Hmm.
I know they're at home. I know, like, but Tuscaloosa hasn't scared anyone for a while. It's not like I understand everyone's like, oh, now that we got our backs against the wall, and like this doubt is creeping in on the Alabama dynasty that it's just gonna like all of a sudden become this electric environment. But prove it to me. Prove
Yeah.
it to me. Like they'll
Sure.
have like it'll be most of the time the most intimidating part is the team that you're facing because it's
Hmm.
loaded with NFL players. Like whenever LSU played there in 2019, like it wasn't oh we have to go to Alabama. Like it's not like going to Jordan Hare with a good team. Like
Yeah.
where
Hmm.
the team is going to be good and then the crowd is going to add a factor to the
Hmm.
game. Like
Yeah.
Tuscaloosa hasn't had that. I think it'll be rocking, but until they prove that it's a dangerous place to play and like I believe in Sark as an offensive mind.
Hmm.
And similar to I'm going to steal this from Josh Pate, who I heard kind of mention this earlier this week. Josh Heupel was able to exploit one matchup all last
Hmm.
year against Alabama. And with the
Hmm.
receivers that Texas has against some of the new pieces in the secondary, I think there's going to be a matchup where they go to over and over and over again to
Hmm.
consistently move the chains and keep up with this Alabama offense. And I I think at the end of the day, Alabama's probably going to rely on the run a little bit more. So the
Hmm.
possessions are going to be a little bit less. Like I think already this year, teams are averaging two less possessions per game because of the new clock rules. So every possession is going to matter. And I think Sark's ability to kind of create space for his best players in the offense and move around those pieces, I think will help settle Quinn Ewers in, give him some easy throws like he did last year. And at the end of the day, I think Texas is a better football team.
Hmm.
Alabama has a lot of talent. They've stacked recruiting class on recruiting class, but they lost so much, and there's so much unproven um, on this team right now to where I have to go with Texas. Like, if it's not now, when are you going to do it? It's kind of
Yeah.
like what we talked about on the show last year with Tennessee. If not now, when?
Hmm. I agree. I agree. And especially going into the SEC next year, you're gonna have to get adjusted or you're
You
gonna
want to
be at the
back up
bottom.
what your fans have been saying? Like everyone's scared of Texas coming into the SEC, like this 500 team over the last 13 years in the Big 12. We're supposed to be scared of big bad Texas, a 500 team. The fuck are you talking about? Like you all are coming in and like you're not intimidating anybody. Like yeah, you have a lot of money and stuff, but
Hmm.
what have you shown to make us like top level SEC teams worried at all?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I agree. So we'll see. We have our guy Chuck, like, what is this? What 21 plus, bro? 21 plus is crazy. It's crazy. Chuck. He's he must be depressed still. Chuck, yeah, don't bet.
He's
Don't bet.
lashing out.
Yeah, yeah. Don't bet when you're so emotional, brother. Okay, you know what I'm saying. It's like making taking that drink when you're sad about the girl leaving you, man. Don't just calm
He's
down. Let
chasing. He's chasing.
come on, man. Don't do that. Don't do that. You're better than that, Chuck.
If
And
Alabama wins by 21 plus, we're
yeah,
gonna have to have another therapy session next week.
yeah. I'm gonna be sick. And you can catch our guy Chuck tomorrow on Sunday Morning Quarterbacks. Or well, I guess he won't be on next tomorrow's episode since they played on Thursday, but he'll be on Sunday Morning Quarterbacks. Definitely a main contributor. Definitely one of the biggest Chiefs fans I know. I mean, the man was on Good Morning America. Okay, so that's all you need to know. All right, Sam. It's about the end of the show. Let's go ahead and run down the picks. I will let you start, my brother.
All right, I've had one for every game that we've talked about. So I'll recap those: Colorado -2.5, Notre Dame -7, Miami +3, Tulane +7.5. I'm big on the underdogs today. I think there's a lot of overreaction to week one.
Mm-hmm.
I think these are a lot tighter games going into this week. Texas +7.5 and Texas Tech +6.
Okay.
Have three additional plays. This line stinks again. No Cam Rising, but Utah -7. I really like Utah in their team, man. Against with these new clock rules, like the defense is gonna be is what they've kind of ridden over the last few years, and they've had the offensive ability to score with some of the upper echelon Pac-12 teams and win this conference back to back. But they're at Baylor, who was probably looking ahead a little bit last week. But I still
Mm-hmm.
don't. I don't know if they have the talent um, to play with Utah. And it's an early kick, but still, I think this is outside of a one possession game. So I got Utah -7 there. Cyhawk Bowl. I don't trust Iowa's offense to win this game outside of a field goal, so I went Iowa State +3.5,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll close it out with the revenge game. UNC looked really good last week. UNC -19.5. I think App State lost a lot off a really good team last year.
Mm-hmm.
It's at UNC. I think they kind of got that defense rolling a little bit. Looks like it's going to be. I'm not ready to fully jump on board the change in philosophy there. I think down the road the defense could give up some points, but I mean they look really well and really good last week, being very aggressive against a bad South Carolina offensive line. So
Mm-hmm.
give me UNC in a revenge spot -19.5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just looking at that team total. It's at 40, but I mean, look, Appalachian State, they pulled one off last year against A&M, but
And
I don't
UNC.
yeah, and UNC, yeah. So a little bit of revenge. Obviously, an in-state rivalry. I think the bad blood is going to be there. So I might be looking at the team total. That might be one of my leans for the day. But I got Colorado -3. Sorry, can't bet against Prime. I can't until the USC game. That's the first time I'm gonna be scared. But I saw too much. And then I have also Shador to not throw an interception. That is to not throw an interception at +120. I think he just has too much control of the offense for me to see him make mistakes. Travis is going to be open. All you got to do is get him the ball. So I got them -3. Shador not to throw an interception at +120. I also have the Aggies of Texas A&M -3. Don't like it, but it's probably gonna happen. So let's just move on. I also come on, you didn't think I was gonna go 2 weeks without betting on the dogs, baby? Did you? Did you? I got the dogs -10 in the first quarter. Ball State is look. I think with a lackluster start last week, I think everybody had cause for concern. But I and everybody in Georgia Twitter. I don't know if you're involved in or entrenched in Georgia Bulldogs Twitter. Unfortunately, I am. They were calling for Mike Bobo's head on a stake. And while I do agree, I did watch some all 22, and Carson left a lot of meat on the bone, man. There was a lot of guys that were running wide open behind their secondary. He just had to be a little bit more patient on the double move. So I got the Dogs first quarter covering at 10. I think we'll get 2 touchdowns in the first quarter. And that'll be that. And then also, I mean, again, I don't want to do this, but I got the Tide first half -4. But I'm not doing the full game. If you want to pick a side on this, my advice would be to wait until halftime and see how the game is playing out. But definitely watch the game. If Alabama is getting traction in the run game, I think you take the Alabama side if it's reasonable for you. But
if a
I
starting
think,
quarterback goes out in a Texas-Alabama game again on the Texas side, something's got to be done.
oh yeah, this is gonna be
Full-scale investigation.
third time in a row. Third time in a row. Shout out Marcel Darius. And speaking of that, Dallas is going to be in Quinn's ear, I'm sure, all game. Like, you know what I did last year, right? You know what I did to you last year. So I'm sure they'll be looking forward to that. But whatever. But that will be our show for the day. Sam, thank you so much, my brother. Of course, as always. We wanted to start these first 2 weeks with just us, but I promise, we will have guests to fill in some of the time slots, talk about some of their teams. We got a lot of sharp gambling experts, in my opinion. I mean, they won me a lot of money. So we got a lot of those guys coming on, planned for the show. But Sam, please tell the people where they can find you before we get out of here.
Just at Dumb Brain Picks on Twitter. We'll be tweeting out. Dude, he's hating. He's a hater this week. It's all good.
He just wants us to be in pain because he's in pain. It's okay.
Yeah,
it's all right.
He's lashing out. It's fine.
Okay.
But yeah, at Dumb Brain Picks on Twitter. We'll tweet out any additional picks or anything throughout the day. But yeah, it's going to be a good season. Started off a little slow. Didn't expect anything less. Betting with my heart for half my picks. So, and then it going the way it did. So hopefully we get turned around, right the ship this week. We got 9 plays. Hopefully get a positive week going.
For sure. And you can follow us on Twitter at Paid for Play. That is Paid for Play. We have a live streaming on Twitter as well, in case you wanted to watch it on there. We can only see your comments, like Chuck's insane comments. We can only see them if you comment on YouTube. So please be sure to join us on YouTube. I always put the link in the tweet, so it'll take you directly there. And yeah, follow Players Ball 1. Follow me at Roddy404 on my main page. And we'll see y'all next Saturday, man. Peace.
Peace.